Lots of women see hormone therapy as a big tick in the box for everything, which is totally understandable. And yeah, it is really helpful for many of us. So, why do so many women still come and find me? It's not that they want to stop using it or come off it, it's just that it's not living quite up to their expectations. And they want to know what else they can do to help themselves to feel better, to feel more normal. This was exactly the case for my client Sarah. Sarah's decision around taking hormone therapy were really because of her concerns for her own cardiovascular health and osteoporosis as well. Legitimate concerns because she'd watched her mum really struggle with those two things, but also because she herself was noticing some disruptions to her sleeping patterns, like waking up and still just not really feeling energized, and some brain fog and focus issues at work, which was not great when you're trying to get through the day and still have enough energy to be able to deal with family in the evenings. She told me that she felt rubbish most days and she didn't like who she was becoming. Sarah had really hoped that taking hormone therapy would sort these issues out, and she didn't expect an overnight improvement by any means, but she did expect it to feel better within a few weeks, and months progressed. She was back and forth with the GP trying to get the dosage right, and some of her symptoms did improve. There was still a feeling of not quite having enough energy, and there was something else as well that she described as just feeling a bit lost in herself. She could think more clearly, she could get a decent night's sleep again, but it wasn't just that her energy levels were low, it was more a feeling in herself that was low. She knew, she said to me that she didn't feel depressed, she felt disillusioned, weary, just low in motivation, low in her zest for life, really. And that was really getting her down, understandably so. You know, topping up your hormone levels isn't going to solve everything. Your health, how you feel about yourself, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, there's more to it than hormone levels. So the solutions have to go wider and deeper than that. Now, I'm certainly not saying that you need to go into therapy for months and months and start with childhood and drag everything up from the past. No, it doesn't have to be like that, but we do need to take you into consideration, not just your hormones. I really love what Sharon Blackie has to say about this. I just want to read you a little bit from her book, If Women Rose Rooted. Highly recommend getting this. And she says, becoming elder begins at menopause, an entire journey all of its own, a biological, spiritual, and emotional rite of passage whose impact is often underrated. Menopause is not a medical condition, it is an earthquake, shaking us to our deepest foundations, wiping out the edifices we've so carefully constructed on what we once imagined to be the solid ground of our life. Menopause hacks us open, it is the cleaving to end all cleavings. I love that. And she goes on to say, yes, menopause is an ending and it is natural to mourn an ending, but it is not a disability. It is also a new beginning. This is a time to reflect on what is still to be done in our lives, a time to turn our attention to things we've put aside. It is also a time for seeing the truth about our lives and finally understanding our patterns. There's a lot of wisdom to be shared, from not just from this book, but from understanding ourselves more and allowing this to come through. And when we have an over-reliance sometimes, which is understandable, on medical interventions to help us, when actually there's an awful lot that we can do for ourselves when we are open to understanding that. Now, it would be great, wouldn't it, if there really was a one-stop solution to feeling low, sleep deprived, irritable, a myriad of all the other physical and mental symptoms that we could get. And it's true that a lot of these challenges are synchronous to the hormones and what they're doing, but you and I both know there's more to it than that. Because hormonal changes from menopause, they come at a time in life when things are already pretty busy and you might feel there's less time for yourself, there's family to take care of, there's a career that you've perhaps invested a lot of time and energy and effort into, and all of these different things, they all demand they all demand time of you. And that's before we get on to what you really want and really need. And whether you're okay with that or not all happening at the same time, it's easy to get lost in that, to feel out of sorts. You might even say that that's a very normal response to what's going on. The hormonal changes can exacerbate all of this, and they often do, but hormone therapy alone isn't going to be able to address it all. The symptoms that we can get, they're often overlapping onto what we call allostatic load, the things that we've been trying to hide under the bed, the stress, the problems from the past, as well as the current things that we're dealing with. They've all influenced your health now and in the past, and with that, how you feel about yourself. So we have to bring all of that to the table when we're trying to solve any menopause challenge. And without addressing that in a way that feels right and okay with you, then the feelings of discomfort, unease, they're going to continue. They will come back. And remember that feeling tired of a situation is going to elicit the same response in the body as being physically tired and physically not having enough energy. It's all going to be the same thing. It's absolutely no wonder that so many women feel lost and adrift and irritable and weary and dissatisfied and frustrated, and there's this lowered tolerance that we're all known for. My client Sarah worked with me for a couple of months, and yes, we did talk about hormones quite a lot, and all of the things that impact them at a biological level, and food and exercise choices and bookending the day and different types of stress and all of that, and all of the lifestyle interventions, the powerful things that can be done for addressing those shifting goalposts of health and wellness that we need to really take into consideration for us. But our biggest conversations, most of our time was spent talking about Sarah, about what Sarah wants, about what Sarah needs. It was about feeling at peace with what was happening, but not in a way that you just put up with it and tolerate it, but it was more about this evolving version of herself. Instead of being constantly at war with mind, body, blaming hormones, blaming menopause, which of course we can all do at times, but when menopause is overlapping onto every area of life, every life layer we've got, good, bad, and everything in between, it's not separate, is it? And I helped her to address some of the things that she'd been holding back from herself that were really, really part of her personal solutions for feeling more like herself and the person that she wanted to be. So if you're having a hard time, maybe you're on hormone therapy, maybe you're not, maybe you're trying to do it other ways, but there's something missing and you still don't feel like you've got all of the answers, all of the solutions to, maybe it's a physical symptom, or maybe it's just that you don't feel right, you're off kilter somehow. All of these things are a learned skill. It's not common sense, it's not logical. And when you're trying to do it yourself, it's like learning on the job. It's tough, it's slow, it's disruptive, and it doesn't have to be that way. I would love to be able to give you some help and make it a bit more fun so that you can enjoy life again in the way that you want to. You can get in touch with me at angiegarten.com or come and join in the conversations over at Menopause Done Naturally, our Facebook community. I'll get the kettle on. I'll see you in there.